and welcome to All Things Conflict with me, your host, Maria Arpa. And we're going to do something a little bit different in this segment because I get a lot of really nice comments, and it's always lovely to hear from people that they're enjoying the podcast, that they like the content. And sometimes people even comment on my delivery.
And hey, while I've got your attention, I'd love to talk to you about my flagship dialogue roadmap training. If you could see yourself as somebody that can bring healing, that can facilitate resolution, that can help people in conflict, whether individually or within groups, and that's something that you imagine that you'd love to have the skills to do, then you might be interested in my flagship dialogue roadmap training. It is 20 days of training supported over the course of a year with lots of practical applications, lots of skills development, and then also the inner healing journey that we need to do ourselves, because after all, we can only love another person to the extent that we love ourselves. It's a very small, intimate group facilitated by me and some of my team. We've had some wonderful outcomes from this training, and you might be interested in hearing from some of our previous participants, of course. If you think this might be for you, then please get in touch with me through mariaarpa.com or just drop something in the comments. Thank you.
So I wanted to sort of let you into a little secret. Most of what I do is rooted in something that we call giraffe language. So why giraffe? Well, giraffes have the biggest heart of any land mammal. And they have tall necks, so they see the bigger picture. And so each of us has an inner giraffe. And the work I'm doing and the work I'm encouraging people to do is for us to find our inner giraffe. And so when I do that, when I find my inner giraffe and I listen to other people and I work with other people, whether they're going through conflict or whether it's just, a workplace thing or just a coffee with friends, what I do is I have something very special. I have a really powerful piece of technology at my disposal, and that is my giraffe ears. Because when I listen to others with my giraffe ears on, when my inner giraffe is listening to the conversation, then of course I can only hear whatever's being said through a loving lens. And I want to share some of these secrets with you. And I've actually produced something called Giraffe Lessons. And Giraffe Lesson number 1 is a one-page sheet that actually explains how you can diffuse a conflict and prevent it from escalating with one simple phrase. So giraffe lessons, there are 6 at the moment, are a really important way of becoming mindful and aware and helping us to find our inner giraffe in all of our communications. So when I learn to speak giraffe, I take a much more mindful approach to how I'm expressing myself and having some sense of how the other person may or may not receive me. And so there are lots of things that we can do, because often we start conversations with no plan for what we're going to do when it escalates and hits a sort of peak. we back ourselves into communication corners that we can't get out of. So there are lots of things that we can do in preparation. For example, I can ask myself, do I even have time for this conversation now? Am I in a place to be able to honour what the other person is asking of me, or even what I'm asking of myself? Is this moment just a time to set up a time to have a conversation? It's not a race. It's really important to think about the outcomes that I want, not just for me, but for the other person. So if I go into a conversation with a single-minded purpose and I just want to get the other person to bend to my will or to comply with what I want, and I don't see that they have needs too, then it's very likely we're going to end up in some sort of zero-sum game. It's really important to ask, what do I want from this conversation, and what is the other person likely to want from this conversation? Because then we can take time to find alignment. And once we're in alignment, once we have some common ground, then we can start to make progress. Another thing that we might want to do is, we've all been taught, that, taking people by surprise, the element of surprise is a great form of attack. Well, if we want to work with somebody and we have an ongoing relationship, we need to be careful that we're not just blurting something out because we're triggered in this moment, because to the other person, that can seem like an ambush. And if a person is in a state of shock from an ambush, they're less likely to give us their best. So when I want to be in dialogue with somebody, when I want to have a conversation with somebody, I'm also taking care of the container that we're going to use to have the conversation, so that they willingly enter into the space with me. They're not dragged or coerced into it, so we can actually get the best out of each other. Another thing that we often do is we speak in sweeping generalizations, or, you always, or you never. And of course, these absolutes are going to be unrecognizable to the person that I'm trying to have a conversation with. The example I always give is, if you call somebody late, you're always late, for example, and they don't see themselves that way. They see themselves as a victim of a failed transport system. You see, you haven't even begun the conversation in the same place. And once the person that you want to talk to is in shock or upset or feeling unsafe in the conversation, then you're going to have to make up more ground, as they need time to recover before they can even get to hearing your requests. So in this way, I've built up a series of giraffe language lessons in which we can use simple phrases to get us out of trouble quick. And if you're interested in knowing more about these giraffe lessons, perhaps even getting a glimpse of them, then stay with us, write to me, communicate with us. We love hearing from you. Thank you.